Hi again. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Way Shower. For those of you who are just watching me for the first time, my name is Carol. So my last video, last night, I talked about Doreen Virtue and the reality of angels and ascended masters and ETs and the dangers involved in opening our psychic centers, which we really don't have much of a choice in during the awakening process. It's just something that happens naturally. What I also mentioned was the importance of baptism. So that's what I wanted to address in this video, is the importance of baptism. So water is a cleansing agent and a conductor. And anybody who knows, and this has happened to me personally, if you're standing in water and you touch something metal that is hooked up to the electrical outlet, you are going to get shocked. So baptism is primarily a Christian concept, but it does have a universal application in that water is not only cleansing, but it is a it conducts energy. So when we're baptized, we are in a sense cleaning ourselves of whatever negative energies were there, and the thoughts and the prayers of the person performing the baptism and our parents who have us baptized when we're just infants. That is what keeps us safe. So their energy goes into that water and helps to keep us safe. So this is in line with I consider it a need to have a supreme divine way shower like Jesus to protect you and guide you during your awakening process, so that while your psychic centers are open, you are not as vulnerable as people who do not have that protector and divine guide. So I was actually, I'm going to start this off with telling you a little bit about my baptisms, and that is plural. I've had 3 baptisms. So my first one was like most people, and I was baptized several months after, or a couple of months, whatever, after I was born, and I was baptized in the Lutheran religion. And what that does for us is it keeps us safe as infants and as children as we're growing up, until we realize, until we are capable of making our own decisions as young adults. So at 15, without understanding all of that or realizing the importance of baptism, when I was 15 and accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, as my guide, I had myself rebaptized as a Baptist. So I was born again. And I had the full water immersion, etc. So what I did in doing that at that time, that was like saying, I understand the importance of, even though I didn't really understand the importance of baptism, I was acknowledging that it was important, and I was acknowledging that I wanted to follow in Jesus's footsteps. I was acknowledging that I wanted his help, and I wanted his guidance, and that I wanted to be saved, that I wanted that security. Then when I was in my early 40s, I was besieged by demons. And demons have come after me my entire life, for as long as I can remember, way into my childhood. And when this happened when I was in my 40s, I returned to Wisconsin from Arizona because I innately knew that the love of my family would help to keep me safe. So I returned to Wisconsin, and I was safer, but I still was not safe. They were still bothering me. So I wanted desperately to be in church and to seek God's counsel. And it's not that I couldn't do it without being in church, but I wanted to be in what I considered to be His house, a physical house. I wanted to have that closeness and the energy in the churches from people who believed. So, long story short on that one, I went to several churches before I finally found one whose doors were open. This is in the middle of the day. So I went in there and I sat and I prayed. And that was at, this was all in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the only church that I found whose doors were open, and this is a plug for them, was Cathedral Center in downtown Milwaukee. And proud to say my sister is the executive director there for the homeless people, the women who need sheltering. So anyhow, beautiful church. So the churches were closed because, as I was told by one woman who was the receptionist at one of the churches, she said the reason why the churches close their doors, lock their doors, not just close them, they lock them, is because of theft. So I said something to her as nicely as I could, but I was very upset. I imagined at that time that I was probably as upset as Jesus was at the money changers, when He overturned the table, etc. Because my understanding was that this was my Father's house, and His doors were open to His children at all times. And yet these people, the churches, cared more about their golden candlesticks than they did about the souls of their parishioners or people, their community. So kudos to Cathedral Center for keeping your doors open. I very much appreciate it personally. So anyhow, I sat in Cathedral Center Church and talked to God and Jesus and prayed for guidance, etc. And I then, shortly thereafter, realized that I needed to go to the lakefront. So this is Lake Michigan, late October. Water is freezing. I wasn't really sure why I was going there. I just knew that I had to, and that I needed to go into the water. So I took a bathrobe with me, and I went very late in the afternoon, so that when I was finished, it was evening already. And I walked into the water, and I'm waist deep in the freezing Lake Michigan waters. And if anybody who's ever been there, they know, that Lake Michigan is big. And when you look out across the water, it's like looking into the ocean, because you can't see land on the other side. Anyway, I'm looking out across the water into the vastness, and I'm praying, and I suddenly realize, in an instant, several realizations. Number one, that I was there to rebaptize myself. I was there to reaffirm my desire to do God's work and to follow in the steps of Jesus. And in that very same moment, I knew that I needed to have a full water submersion. So I said a prayer, and I fully submersed myself in the freezing waters, and I got back up, said another very quick little prayer, and acknowledged in gratitude Jesus and the angels and God for helping to guide me to that point, and ran back to my vehicle, disrobed, threw on my bathrobe, and drove home. And everything got better for me right after that. So that was my third baptism, and I did it by myself. I was not in a church. I was not in a physical church. I did not do it with a pastor or a priest or any type of religious figure that there is in a church, but it was just the same. So a baptism is, it's not just when we're children. Yes, Okay, so let me put it this way. A baptism is not just to protect us. A baptism is an expression of our faith and a confirmation of our desire to walk in truth, to live in truth. And it's an acknowledgement of our belief in God, in Jesus. So, and that may be the case for other religions. I'm not sure. So if anybody has any insight into other religions like Buddhism or Taoism, etc., or Wiccan, please feel free to comment below and share that with all the rest of us. If there is a similar type of ritual or rite that another religion has, that number one, asks for protection, number two, confirms our faith and our belief in a divine being, and that helps us to be protected from the negative energies and entities that are out there. So the importance of baptism is the cleansing that happens within us internally when we are baptized, and the protection that we receive from that cleansing. So when we're baptized as infants, it is our parents' faith and the faith of the pastors or the priests or the shamans or whoever it is that's conducting that baptism that protects us. And then as we come into the age of reasoning and we can understand things more, we should rebaptize ourselves and in our own faith, in our own conviction, so that we can be that much stronger and that much more protected and better guided. And then, of course, once you are fully into your adulthood and you understand things much better, then a third baptism. If you are feeling besieged by demons or negative energies, rebaptize yourself. And you don't have to do it in a church. Certainly you can, and you can do it with a pastor or a priest, etc. Absolutely, but you don't have to. And I did not. And I'm telling you, it works. When I explain these things to you, when I tell you my stories, that's so that you can know that what I share with you are things that I learned from personal experience. They're hands-on. And not that everybody's going to have that same experience, but this is what worked for me. So that's the importance of baptism, is that the water cleanses you, and it helps to conduct the energy of love and faith and healing and protection. It moves that energy through your body and through your cells. So it's like getting, I think that it's like getting an infusion of faith. And it's like Jesus said in one of the stories, there was that one where the Roman soldier came to him and asked Jesus to heal his daughter. And Jesus said, go home. She's already healed by your faith, So it wasn't, Jesus is saying, I didn't heal her. It is your faith in me, in God, and in the divine purpose. That's what healed her. So when we rebaptize ourselves, when we come to the age of understanding and we rebaptize ourselves, that what we're doing is like the Roman soldier. It's our faith that we're expressing, and it moves through us, and it's what heals us, and it's what keeps us safe. So I guess that's it. I don't want to make this too long. Just wanted to share with you all the importance of baptism. So don't be afraid to baptize yourself. It only requires your heart. To truly come from your heart with your faith and your belief and whatever divine being it is. But find yourself a divine way shower so that you can stay safe through the awakening process. Much love to you all. Blessings.